Ambassador Puri, how do you look at these developments that are taking place in Nepal? Ambassador, if you heard me.
I can hear you very clearly. What's the question, please? Thank you.
Yes, sir, my question is, how do you look at the developments which are taking place in Nepal?
Well, thank you very much, Maria. I want to tell you, these have to be looked at seriously. What has happened, and as you asked the questions, has the mob gone really out of control? Yes, these are all serious matters. But on the other hand, let's just look at it. It's a situation of people taking things in their own hand, in a sense, a very, let me say, an element of violence in democracy, which is happening there. Because what was happening in Nepal, we need to understand that. You had the two principal parties in the parliament joined together in a combination, which meant that two-thirds of parliament was in the government. And so, what did you have in terms of opposition and the ability to vent from the sources of the parliament itself? That became problematic. Now, over years, Nepal has had a major issue in terms of its economics. The young feel frustrated. There's nothing much happening in terms of jobs. And the top people in the establishment were, in a sense, rotating the prime minister's chairs among themselves and really not giving any space. Another very important point for Indian viewers is the issue that Nepal is a very globalized country and a country where people are quite empowered as a result of the fact that about 25% of the population is overseas, and I'm not including India. They're all over the world, in the West, in Australia, in Singapore. Nepal's remittance to GDP ratio is among the 5 highest in the world. And so the connectivity with the world has changed people's aspirations, has changed the way people think, and the young are really feeling that, rent-seeking politics, no, that's not acceptable to them. They don't have an answer, but their frustrations is what they are venting. And the social media ban was the thin edge of the wedge. It went over. It was badly mishandled. The police opened fire on
But Ambassador Puri, to look at the larger perspective on from where India stands, there seems to be a playbook to all of this. We saw very similar visuals, very similar, exactly the same scenes play out in Bangladesh just about 7-8 months ago. Right before a year and a half ago, we saw exactly the same playbook, where Sri Lanka was concerned. Our bordering countries, all of them in turmoil with very, very similar circumstances. How should India view this?
Maria, I don't think we should make these comparisons in this sort of a manner that you are doing. This is a case of democracy in a sense with a greater degree of vibrancy and governments which were rent-seeking to the core. That's exactly what happened in Sri Lanka. The government out there was exactly in the same way. The same thing happened in Nepal here. Bangladesh is quite a different thing with lots of interplays which were taking place out there. Look, what has happened in Sri Lanka, please see what happened after the mob was allowed to vent its anger and so on. Go back to politics. Things are happening in various ways. I personally believe that the Nepalese, who struggled for democracy over years and years, and finally monarchy was replaced about 20 odd years back, the ideas of democracy are pretty importantly embedded there. Yes, the way this has happened, these mob attacks, etc., certainly not acceptable. But I also think that, like Sri Lanka, and that's the parallel to look at, the army is sort of standing at the back. It has the abilities, it's moved leaders to safe locations, it has the abilities, it's allowing a certain amount of vent. And I hope that by tomorrow, elements of the political process will start. You can see Balan Shah, the mayor himself, saying, who people say is a beneficiary of all this, telling people, now let's calm it. We've got a degree of accountability. The chief head, that of the prime minister, has rolled. We're very sorry. We are listening to you. We'll show empathy. We will be with you. And let's try and take things forward because it's our country. We need to build it together.
But Ambassador Puri, the larger question is about the interim government. As you spoke about Balan Shah, of course, one of the most popular faces because Time magazine had named him among the top 100 emerging leaders of the world as well. How should India be viewing this, particularly after the experience with Muhammad Yunus?
Look, this has nothing to do with Muhammad Yunus in Bangladesh. Let's leave that out. Let me tell you the larger question is democracy in Nepal surviving. our links with the people in Nepal surviving, and our economic links. This is a country with which we have civilizational links, and I don't see those being disrupted. Let's look at the hand that you always talk at the Chinese. Are they happy at the only government being dismissed? They can't be. Who is it? In a sense, if I may use this expression, Nepal has seen globalization in a manner much more than we who had 197 years of colonization. And with this rapid globalization, you had the Western ideas, etc., come in. In a sense, perhaps woke is playing out in Nepal. Woke has become out of fashion in the countries where it began. That's the
Right.
nature of it. For us, as long as we continue to have our good relations with the people and with the governments, whoever comes in power, and I have no doubt everyone will see the good sense in a good relationship with India,
Right.
because we matter economically, we matter for the people, and we are that great civilizational link with Nepal.
All right. Appreciate you joining us, Ambassador Puri. Thank you there for giving us your time.